Namaskar friends, this is NJ, host on this channel, continuing our discussion on understanding the different houses of our astrological chart. In this video, we will have our discussion on the importance and the signification of the fourth house of our astrological chart. So this whole video will be divided in two sections. In the first section, we will try to understand the signification represented by the fourth house, and in the second section, we will try to understand that what kind of results you can expect if you will find your fourth house lord to be present in different houses. So friends, to begin with, it is very important for you people to understand this thing, that no matter how much your ascendant or ascendant lord is strong, how much your 10th house or 10th house lord is strong, no matter how much you're going to accomplish, how much you're going to achieve in this lifetime, but what's the use of any achievement if that is not followed by emotional fulfillment, contentment and happiness? So that is the only reason where this fourth house gains prominence in our life. So fourth house, which is one of the Kendra Bhav, angular Bhav, it is also the strong foundation, or it also tells about the kind of pillar of our life. So to begin with, if you want to understand the signification represented by the fourth house, so first of all, just because in the natural Kal Purush Kundli, this house carries the energy of moon's sign Cancer, so this house tells about your emotional state. All information regarding the state and quality of your emotions, the strength of your emotions, stability of your emotions, we get to know from the fourth house. Friends, you have to understand this thing, that whatsoever you see in surface, that is the first house. But if you actually want to understand what a person thinks or feels deep from inside, you might have to become little bit acquainted with that person, familiar with that person, friendly with that person, then only you will be able to get a peek into what exactly is happening in the fourth house of that particular person. And at the same time, when we talk about the emotional state, so our emotional state is not always dependent on our circumstances. There are those people who find out the reason to stay happy even in the face of any sort of misery, and there are those people, no matter how much conveniences, comforts they have in their life, they still make their life be terrible, miserable, pessimistic, lonely. So it all comes down to the state and quality of your emotions. Someone could be very happy, that person might have the influence of Venus, Mercury, Moon in the fourth house. Someone who might have a very critical nature might have the influence of Ketu over there. If you will find Rahu, the person might have a very manipulative nature. If you will find Saturn over there, or the influence of Saturn, native might have a little bit a lonely nature. So what I'm trying to say over here is that all information of someone's emotions, emotional state, you get to know from the fourth house. The second thing is that fourth house also tells about what kind of nourishment you are going to receive in this lifetime. Now nourishment is something which you cannot only restrict only with your mother only. Like definitely this is the house of your mother, it tells about your relationship with the mother, but at the same time some people tend to remain lucky in getting all sort of nourishment from their partner. Some people tend to remain lucky in finding all sort of nourishment from their pets, some people from the hobby. So important is that only if your fourth house is going to be in a strengthened state, you are going to have this potential or eligibility to find or derive emotional fulfillment, nourishment, care from outside tangible aspect of life. And friends, if you want to understand the tangible aspect connected with the fourth house, so this house also tells about the concerns of land, property, real estate, farmlands, agriculture land. This is also the house which represents vehicles, all sort of conveniences, all sort of a source of luxury or luxurious items or luxurious things, jewelry, are somehow connected with the signification of the fourth house. And lastly friends, like many astrologers and psychic also see the condition of the fourth house just to get this idea about how a person's death is going to be, end of the life. So you have to understand this thing, just because in a human body, fourth house represents the portion or area of chest and the heart. So even in the medical science, we do not declare even a brain dead person as dead unless and until the heartbeat is still on. So somehow what kind of your state is going to be at the time of death. So all of that information can also be acquired by looking at the state and strength and quality of the fourth house. When we talk about the natural indicator or karaka connected with the fourth house, so definitely we have moon and Venus which are connected as the significator karaka with the fourth house. Moon, just because moon in itself represents emotions, feelings, nourishment, which is a signification of the fourth house, and Venus just because this house also has to do with happiness, this house also has to do with conveniences, comforts and luxury. So because of which moon and Venus can be seen as the connected significator karaka planets with the fourth house. So that is something, friends, which I wanted to tell you as a part of the signification as represented by the fourth house. Now we will try to understand that what kind of results you can expect if you will find your fourth house lord's placement in different houses of your astrological chart. So friends, to begin with, if you will find your fourth house lord's placement in the first house, so this can be considered as a very auspicious or good placement, because to begin with, the fourth house lord from its original house placement, it has gone 10 houses ahead and it has been placed in the first house, which represents your personality, which represents your overall projection in the society. So this could be seen as a very good combination, that whatsoever tangible aspect which gets represented by the fourth house, when we talk about property, when we talk about vehicles, any sort of a fixed assets. So now what is going to happen is that native is definitely going to have this potential within him, that he will be able to accumulate, amass all the tangible aspect as represented by the fourth house. Now friends, with this particular combination, I always say this thing, that in order to succeed in the life, it is very important that native should get very positive, very encouraging and very nurturing domestic environment in the life. Now whether in the form of growing up, the way native has been nurtured and nourished or trained by his mother, by his or her parents, or even after growing up, or like after having a matrimonial life, it is very important that native should get the best kind of nourishment from his family, from his home front, in order to project himself with complete confidence or project himself in the society. Whatsoever natives emotional experiences or turmoils are going to be in his personal life, that is definitely going to reflect his projection in the society, his image in the society, his important decision making in the society. You can also look at it from that perspective. But yes, for sure, for any tangible aspect which gets represented by the fourth house, for their accomplishment and achievement, the fourth house lord's placement in the first house can be seen as a very good combination. Moving ahead, friends, if you will find the fourth house lord's placement in the second house, so this can be seen as a very good combination. Friends, to begin with, like second house which represents your values, which represents financial gains and income. So first of all, this could be seen as a very good combination or a sign that native could actually gain. Native could also have his occupation or livelihood connected with the fourth house signification, where interior decor, architecture or anything related to dealing with land, vehicles, luxurious goods. So native could actually financially gain from these fourth house connected aspect as well. And friends, like even if you will see that from the fourth house, its lord has gone 11 houses ahead of it and it has entered the second house. So which could also be seen as very good in this regard, that native is definitely going to remain lucky in emotionally gaining from all of his engagement in the society, no matter whether in the form of his friendly relationship with people, or like from pets, from maternal ties, or from any of the relationship which native is going to form in his life. There is definitely going to be this possibility that native is going to emotionally get nurtured and gain that sort of emotional fulfillment with all of his involvement and dealings in the society. And just because, friends, fourth house also represents your mother, so native might have got deeply influenced, and all kind of virtues which native might be possessing, somehow they must be instilled by his mother. So even from that perspective, this can be seen as a very good sign. Moving ahead, friends. Now if you will find your 4th house lord's placement in the 3rd house, so friends, this placement can be seen as good only for all those people in whose case 3rd house related prospects are directly getting qualified, and that too where deep devotion, transcendental like knowledge, spirituality is coming to fore. So let's say for example, you are a fantasy writer. This placement can actually help you. You are a devotional singer or bhajan, kirtan singer. This placement can actually help you. You can actually pour your heart out at the time of singing the glory of the gods. But when we talk about like any sort of attaining that state of mental peace and emotional fulfillment, concerns of security and stability are definitely going to remain questionable with this particular placement, because from the 4th house, the 4th house lord has gone 12 houses ahead of it, and it has been placed now in the 3rd house. So 3rd house, which tells about logic, 4th house which tells about emotions. So somehow there is going to be a little bit bone of contention or conflicting energies which might trouble the native. So this placement can be seen as good in only those kind of circumstances where the 4th house lord, by being placed in the 3rd house, is going to be placed in a dignified state. So let's say for example, for someone like who has got Scorpio ascendant. So for a Scorpio ascendant native, as you can fairly see, Saturn has got the rulership of both the 3rd house and the 4th house. So 4th house lord Saturn, well placed and strengthened in the 3rd house, can be seen as a good combination. But let's say for example, if you have to take up the case of a Cancer ascendant, so Venus, which rules the 4th house, but if it will go to the 3rd house, it will go debilitated over there. So there it could create bone of contention, and it could create little bit of emotional turmoil with this particular alignment. Moving ahead, friends, if you will find your 4th house lord's placement in the 4th house, so this can also be seen as a very good sign. Friends, to begin with, whenever a house lord is present in that particular house, it protects the signification of that house. It brings the stability in the matters of that house. You do not have to go out. Somehow, whatsoever you want to achieve connected with the 4th house is definitely going to be always within your reach. So now what we can see with this particular alignment is that, first of all, native is definitely going to have a very good religious nature, kind-hearted personality, and whenever we talk about someone on whose word you can trust, someone who is definitely going to have a very stability and structure in his or her emotional state. So this can be seen as a very good sign for all of those perspectives, that when we talk about someone who is definitely going to be very grounded, very rooted, deep foundation, so from all of those perspectives, this particular placement is creating a strong energy. And friends, one more thing which you have to understand with this particular placement, now whichsoever planet is going to be your 4th house lord and which is present in the 4th house, so that planet energies are definitely going to be your defining part of your emotional state, because now the 4th house lord is not going anywhere. It is present over there. It is bringing that structure and stability in your emotional state. It is flavorizing your emotions with that particular planet's innate nature. So if it is moon, well placed. So for someone who is a Aries ascendant native, now in the 4th house, moon is present in its own sign. So that means somehow, no matter, even if you will come across as a coconut, very hard, very structured or very fearless on outside, but inside, deep inside, you are definitely a very emotional person. For someone who has got a Venus placed in the 4th house in its own sign, so your personality deep inside, your emotions, your feelings are very nurturing, very caring. When we talk about Mercury, so it's about intelligence, it's about a very fun side to your personality, having a very jovial nature. When we talk about a planet like Jupiter, so you by yourself act as a medium, as a conduit who or which attract divine wisdom on its own. Your emotions, your feelings are definitely very inspirational, very holy, very sacred or very religious. When we talk about a planet like Saturn, so somehow deep inside you want to be isolated, you want to be alone, or you want to inculcate or be a part of the research or you only want to be in the company of highly educated and very learned people. So this is how you can see the state of someone's emotional state. But yes, fourth house Lord's placement in the fourth house in itself is actually giving a very groundedness to your emotional state. Moving ahead, friends, now if you will find your fourth house Lord's placement in the fifth house, so this can be seen as a very good combination. Friends, try to understand this thing that to begin with, fifth house represents your intelligence, your higher mind, your devotion, your poor punya, past life merits. Now fifth house has got so much potential that no matter whatsoever your aspirations are in this lifetime, if your aspirations somehow gets connected or aligned with the energies of the fifth house, so all those aspirations can actually be achieved, can be attained with a proper graceful way. Like when we talk about the aspirations connected with the Dushtana Bhava or the involvement of the Dushtana Bhava or the Upachya Bhava, so they also hold this potential to fulfill your wish, but that path towards the fulfillment of your wish somehow has to go through lot of hardship, lot of challenges. But when we talk about one of this Trikon Bhav, which has got lot much to offer, lot much to give, so all those aspirations can be easily fulfilled. Now fourth house and all the fourth house related signification, whether in the form of the tangible aspect connected with the fourth house, where we talk about property, we talk about vehicles, we talk about jewelry, all sort of comforts, and comforts giving a tangible aspect can actually be achieved with lot of graceful way because of the contribution of the fifth house, with the use of your intuitive intelligence, with the use of your like a discriminatory intelligence. All those fourth house related signification can be achieved. And friends, when we talk about the non-tangible aspect of the fourth house, where we talk about your emotional fulfillment, nourishment, concerns of security and stability. So just because your fourth house Lord has gone to the fifth house, so one thing which I want to advise to you guys over here is that seeking refuge in gods or your Ish Devta or any sort of artistic creative hobbies, artistic creative interest can actually give you right set of window for the release of your pent up nervous energies. And at the time when we were discussing the fourth house related or connected tangible aspect, so friends, you might not even understand that whatsoever you are in this lifetime in the path to get that kind of fancy house or mansion or whatsoever your aspirations are, your capabilities are. So no matter how much hard work you are doing, it's like just because of the involvement of the fifth house, somehow the deeds or the good deeds done by you in the past lifetime can also help you in this lifetime in getting success in all of your aspirations connected with the fourth house. Moving ahead, friends, now if you will find your fourth house Lord's placement in the sixth house, so friends, this could definitely be seen as a little bit vulnerable placement, because as you know this thing that sixth house is the Dushtana Bhav and sixth house is little bit the house of difficulty. Like whenever we talk about even the like 8th house or the 12th house, they also possess hiddenness or like difficulties, but they also have got this spiritual potential and powers as well. But when we talk about the sixth house, it has this power to overwhelm you with responsibilities, with the fear on the account of enemies. So now what I'm trying to say over here is that with this particular alignment, you have to make your emotional state resilient, robust and strong. Friends, whatsoever your planetary alignments are in your chart, that is there because of a specific reason. So rather than always aspiring for something else, always trying to mold yourself in a different direction, you should try to make peace and try to take out the good merits or results on the basis of your natural planetary placement in your chart only. So now what I'm trying to say over here is that this particular alignment could be seen as a positive sign where it could give you a strong mental strength. Like when we talk about becoming a doctor, becoming a surgeon, becoming a cop, becoming a lawyer, so you can have that strong, fearless emotional and like mental state that you might not get overwhelmed by the challenges, by the hardship or by the negativity or the cruel or evil side of the society. Because friends, no matter whatsoever comforts we are enjoying in this lifetime, but there are those difficult aspects of the world, of the society, all those difficult jobs which there are certain part of our society which they are doing, and only because of their contribution, because of their help, there is a balance in our society. So now what I am trying to say over here is that definitely this particular placement also has got a positive side to it, only if you will find your 4th house Lord planet to be placed in a strengthened state in the 6th house. But let's say for example, if your 4th house Lord being placed in the 6th house goes weak over there, then definitely it is going to be a red flag situation which could possess problem, or which could actually give health related concerns to your mother. You might buy a property and later on concerns of house loan or even the vehicles might become a source of problem, trouble, worries. So even from all of those perspectives, so friends, with this particular alignment, you have to do the ritualistic measures, you have to do the remedies in order to give strength to your 4th house Lord, which is going to be present in the 6th house. And definitely friends, no matter whichsoever planet is going to become your 4th house Lord, somehow 4th house has something to do with your emotions, with your feelings. So the worship of Lord Shiva can be seen as a good panacea in order to give strength to your emotional state and give right direction to your emotional fulfillment. Moving ahead friends, now if you will find your 4th house Lord's placement in the 7th house, so this can also be seen as a very good sign. Like this is also fulfilling that Bhavad Bhavam combination as well, that the 4th house Lord has gone 4 houses ahead of it and it has entered the 7th house, which is the house of your relationship, your public image, your commercial activities. So to begin with, this is actually creating a very good energy that somehow whatsoever your emotional happiness is going to be, the wires of your emotional happiness, fulfillment is definitely going to be connected with your matrimonial bond. The second way to understand this placement is that all the signification connected with the 4th house might get activated whenever you get married, or after your marriage your fortune get awakened, or the kind of emotional fulfillment and stability which you might be striving for, which you might be eyeing for. If your 4th house Lord is going to be dignified and well placed in the 7th house, so all the 4th house related signification might get activated, or the answers of the 4th house you might find after your marriage. So from this perspective, this is creating a very good energy. And let's say for example, if your 4th house Lord is going to be well placed in the 7th house, and somehow your 2nd house Lord or 11th house Lord is also getting involved in the 7th house, so it might also give you success in 4th house related occupation, 4th house related livelihood as well. Your business might be connected with concerns of property, agriculture, dairy business and conveniences. So from all of those perspectives, this placement can be seen as a very good sign. Moving ahead friends, now if you will find your 4th house Lord's placement in the 8th house, so this can be seen as a very good combination specifically for any sort of spiritual progress in this lifetime. Friends, both the 4th house and 8th house are considered as the moksha bhava. So because of which, for any spiritual progress, gaining spiritual siddhis, or having a strong intuition, so from all of those perspectives, this can be seen as a very good sign. And friends, from the 4th house, its Lord has gone 5 houses ahead and now it is placed in the 8th house. So if you will find the 4th house Lord to be well placed in the 8th house, exalted, in a friendly sign, own sign, so this is definitely going to be a strong indication that no matter whatsoever crisis are going to come to your life, they will definitely going to add to your knowledge base, or you will definitely learn from all of the crisis oriented situation in this lifetime. This can also give this indication that your emotions, your feelings are definitely going to be very deep, are definitely going to be very penetrating. This can be seen as a good sign for having a very researchful mind or completely devoting yourself. Like there could be this possibility as well that you might get this option of settling down far away from your birthplace, or living close to waters tend to remain very therapeutic for you. So from all of those perspectives, this particular placement or combination of your 4th house Lord's placement in the 8th house can be seen as a very good sign. But let's say for example friends, if you will not find your 4th house Lord to be well placed in the 8th house, that in those kind of situation, like if also if moon is also going to be under extreme affliction in the chart, and 4th house lord is also afflicted in the 8th house, so this could create some sort of controversy, some sort of secrecy around your mother. And at the same time, natives deep emotional state and his emotional requirement might be little bit might be taboo breaking, might be little bit controversial. So even from that perspective, this could be seen as one of the indicative result with the 4th house lord's placement in the 8th house. And friends, I have already said this thing, if 4th house lord is well placed, dignified in the 8th house, so even gaining from or gaining property, gaining wealth, or any concerns of in the older times when we used to say that someone is going to find the gada dhan, like we talk about the jewelry which you bought a land, and when you start digging that for construction, you found something very valuable in that particular land. So in today's day and age, that could be seen as gaining out of speculation, gaining from inheritances or wills. So even from that perspective, this combination can be seen as a good indicative energy. Moving ahead, friends, now if you will find your 4th house lord's placement in the 9th house, so this can be seen as a very fortunate combination. All the signification represented by the 4th house, whether tangible, whether intangible, whether you talk about property, concerns and aspirations for getting a good vehicle, jewelry, comforts, luxury or luxury goods. So in all of those pursuit, if in your case materialistic lifestyle qualifies, so support and grace of luck and fortune or the blessings from your guru, from your father or ancestors can actually help you succeeding in all those areas. And at the same time, this also makes someone bit religious, or like all those people who always remain in a very devotional and very surrender mode. Whatsoever they achieve in this life, they get completely, or they surrender that, or they devote that to their gods, to their guru. So even from that particular perspective, this combination is creating a very good energy. Friends, you have to understand this thing, that for me there couldn't be a better placement than this, where your emotions, your feelings are directly attuned and connected with God, with divinity, which is there in the 9th house. This could also be seen as a very good combination for a lot of foreign travels, or for foreign settlement, having your residence or properties in different countries. So even from all of those perspectives, this combination or placement is creating a very good energy. Now friends, just because from the 4th house its lord has gone 6 houses ahead and it is now placed in the 9th house. So let's say for example, if your 4th house lord is going to be in a dignified state in the 9th house, so definitely any sort of crisis will definitely going to be a learning process for you, and in the phase or situation of any crisis, seeking refuge in divinity is definitely going to help you. So from all of those perspectives, this is actually creating a very good energy. Moving ahead, friends, now if you will find your 4th house lord's placement in the 10th house, it also indicates that all those people in whose case their personal or their domestic life completely remain always in the public eye. Now this could be the case of you are a celebrity or you are a top-notch politician. So I have also seen this kind of combination in the charts of many successful politicians as well. So from all of those perspectives, this can be seen as a very good sign. Like friends, you have to understand this thing, that your emotional state is completely attached to your deeds, to your karma, to your activities in the society. So all those people who tend to remain very workaholic, even after having a long day at work, they even come back home and bring their work to their home. So from all of those perspectives, this combination is actually creating a very good energy. Now friends, the only difficult aspect with this particular placement is that just because our 4th house lord has gone 7 houses ahead of it and kind of creating a marak kind of combination, so many times what happen is that whatsoever native is going to devote himself towards his professional life, somehow that always take a toll in his domestic life at the same time. Like we have seen all those kind of people who tend to remain lucky in attaining greatness, but that greatness comes at the cost of sacrificing in their own domestic happiness. So this could also be seen as indicative of that. But friends, this combination can be seen as a good sign for all those people like who are typically and purely Saturnian people, who are philanthropic, who are humanitarian from the core of their heart. Because friends, whenever we get to know all those kind of anonymous big donations, big charities where people are not doing any sort of philanthropic or humanitarian task or deeds just for the sake of getting that name, fame in the society. They are just doing as a part of their dharma, as a part of their own innate desires to help the humanity. So trust me, out of all the planets, it's only Saturn which has got this potential, and within Saturn, like out of Saturn's ruled two signs, it could only be seen as the potential of Aquarius sign only. So now what I'm trying to say over here is that that kind of devotion, that kind of dutiful approach you can see with this particular planetary placement of your 4th house lord being placed in the 10th house, where let's say for example, if your 4th house lord is going to be well placed and dignified in the 10th house, so it is actually going to give you that sort of emotional fulfillment and contentment with the kind of way you are exerting your duties or your energies. But let's say for example, if you will find your 4th house lord to be weakly placed or ill placed in the 10th house, then in those kind of situation, native might have got little bit turbulent nature, always complaining, always whining, and always at war within himself. So that could also be seen as one of the indicative result with the 4th house lord's placement in the 10th house. Moving ahead friends, now if you will find your 4th house lord's placement in the 11th house, so this can be seen as a very fortunate combination. 4th house which tells about your emotional state, and 11th house which tells about your group activities, your social influence, your friend circle. So first of all, this placement tells about that this is a person who is going to function at his best in a group setting. Like this person is born to have a active social life. You cannot put this person in a rut, in a box, or in a secluded environment. The second way or second approach to understand this placement is that like 11th house also has to do with opportunities, and somehow this could also, like 11th house can also be connected with your income, your gains as well. So 4th house related tangible aspect, where like when we talk about gaining from property, making your profession, your livelihood in the fields of real estate, agriculture and farming. So even from all of those perspectives, this placement can be seen as a very good sign. Friends, you have to understand this thing that with this particular alignment, the 4th house lord's placement needs to be in a strengthened, in a dignified state. Otherwise, now what is going to happen is that just because 4th house lord has gone from its ruled house, it has gone 8 houses ahead. So if you will not find 4th house lord to be in a strengthened state in the 11th house, it might give you vacillation in your group activities, like or your like your belief. Like you might today have your association with this spiritual organization, but tomorrow you might get drifted towards some other institution. So now what I'm trying to say over here is that in order to have a stability or a groundedness in your belief, in your emotional state, your 4th house lord needs to be in a strengthened state in the 11th house. And last friends, if you will find your 4th house lord's placement in the 12th house, so friends, this could be seen as a very good combination for any of the spiritual progress in this lifetime, because both the 4th house and the 12th house has to do with moksha, has to do with gaining siddhis, and has to do with the transcendental wisdom and knowledge. So now what I'm trying to say over here is that this placement can fairly give someone a strong intuition, like when we talk about strong psychic awareness, prophetic dreams, settling down in foreign land, gaining from foreign contacts and influence. So from that perspective, this combination can be seen as a very good energy. And like all those people who work in the fields of fantasy, who works in all those fields of creative illusion, so this particular combination can be seen as a very good sign. And friends, I will say the same thing which I said at the time of when we were discussing the 4th house lord's placement in the 8th house, that if your 4th house lord is going to be present in the 12th house and it is not very well dignified, then it could create some sort of controversy, some sort of scandals around the nourishment which you have received from your mother, your relationship with your mother, or like your identity of your mother. So it could create little bit of the controversy and scandalous energy regarding your nourishment and your relationship with the mother. And at the same time, friends, when we talk about the fourth house related signification of your emotional fulfillment, if you will find your fourth house lord's placement to be in a afflicted state in the 12th house, so your source of happiness, your source of emotional contentment might be little bit like taboo breaking, it might be little bit out of the box, and which might be questionable in nature. Like I've also seen like all those people like in whose case, see, being sexual is one thing, they are not sexual, the only problem is that the kind of inner turmoil they are going through, so they are always in the mode of looking for that quick release and getting that quick surge of happiness or emotional fulfillment. So like now what happen is that with this particular alignment, all what you end up becoming is getting that title or being seen as a perv in the society. So you are not actually a highly burning sexual person. The only problem is that on a deeper inner emotional state you are going through trouble, and that trouble is actually getting you or giving you that sort of distraction in the outside world and making you run after one illusion after another illusion. So with this particular combination, my only advice is that seeking spiritual or religious refuge can actually give you strong insights, and the kind of emotional nourishment which you might be looking for in the world can actually be found at the feet of your Isht Devta, of your God, or of the religion. So that is something which I want to say with this particular alignment. So that is something, friends, which I wanted to say as a part of my inputs contribution on the fourth house and its lord's placement in different houses. For further more updates and notifications on the divine science of astrology, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and like my Facebook page. Thank you.